All right, so this video is going to be over the 2025 Camputee DMR match. As you can see, based on this awesome trophy, I ended up getting first place at this match, so I was pretty happy with that. I'll go ahead and go over the little bits of gear that I took with me and then get into the match footage. So this match was pretty straightforward. The only real gear that I took were these two shooting bags. They're the same bags that I always take to these types of matches. The green Caldwell bags that you get at Walmart or wherever. I don't really have a whole lot to say about those. I do want to mention the ammo real quick. So if you've seen my videos in the past, you know that typically I will compete at DMR matches or whatever with the AAC 77 grain OTM. I don't really trust that load anymore. I've just seen so many mixed things about it. I had good luck with the ammo. I never had any issues, until they lowered the velocity on the ammo. Allegedly, they have fixed that. I've talked to one person at this match. They were running some of the new stuff. They were claiming it was good. They were getting nice high velocities and pretty low standard deviations. So I don't know. They might have fixed it, but I guess until I see more people use it more frequently, I will probably steer clear. So as a replacement, I was told to try Defender ammunition by another competitor. This is their 5.56 69 grain hollow point boat tail. This is their new loaded ammo, not remanufactured. So far so good with it. With the AAC stuff I was pushing that 77 grain bullet at about 2,600 feet per second from that gun there. And then with the Defender ammo, it's pushing that 69 grain right at about 2,800. Well, I guess let me clarify. Not at this particular match. This match started out pretty cold. I think the starting temperature was like 29 degrees. So it was a little bit colder than the last time I chronoed this ammo. The last time I chronoed it, it was about 80 degrees out. So this particular match, it was going about 2,700, which is still pretty good. I think that's the last thing there. So now for the gun itself. Everybody should be very familiar with this gun by this point if you've been around my channel for a while. If you're new, welcome to not a DMR rifle being used as a DMR. So obviously this is the Springfield Hellion. As far as how I have the gun set up, for the silencer, I've got the KGM R65K. The can is mounted to the gun using a Silencer Co. Bravo ASR mount. The muzzle device that I'm using is the Silencer Co. 3-port ASR brake. Bipole is a Magpul bipod. This thing here you see that's not factory on the Hellion. That is something that I've added. It's just a 3D printed knuckle guard that I drew up and printed for the gun. People ask me, hey, can I get a file for that? No, sorry. People always ask me and I always have to tell them no. I'm not interested in sharing my files at this point in time. Sorry about that. The optic, that is the March 1.5 to 15 by 42. If you're familiar with the channel, you've seen it a lot. If you're new, that might be new to you. It's not a very common optic, but in my opinion, it's great for this style of match. I know there's a few people that watch these videos that shoot with me in person. Any of those people can tell you that if I'm ever at a match with you and you want to check out the March, I'm more than happy to let people check it out because it's such a uncommon optic. Most people don't get a chance to play with one. I do have it set up a little bit different from normal. Usually I don't have the sunshade on. So the gun does come with the sunshade. I don't always use it. However, I wanted to take it to this match just in case I had issues with glare. And then I do have the aperture ring mounted in there as well. If you're not familiar with the aperture ring does, basically what it does is it reduces the aperture of the scope, and the byproduct of that is that you get a little bit less light through the gun, you get a little bit less resolution, but the trade-off is that you get a greater depth of field, which is important for me because of this fact that I'm using the scope camera. You'll see in a lot of my match footage, I do a pretty bad job of adjusting my parallax. I don't do it very often. And basically what that means for you, the viewer, is that pretty frequently the target that I'm looking at is out of focus to the camera. To my eye, it's close enough that I don't have a problem seeing the target and shooting it. but you, the viewer, get a blurrier experience. So if I can put that aperture ring in there, it's more likely that whatever target I'm looking at is going to be in focus for the camera. The only other thing to mention real quick is that I switched out the pistol grip. That's not the one it comes with. That's a Magpul. I don't remember if that's a K2 or K2 Plus, but it's one of those two. So that's everything for the gear. We'll go ahead and get right into the match footage.
Are you ready?
Yep.
Stand by. Five away targets, near the bar. You're going to be shooting the same targets for the next one. You got one more target on the bottom.
Oh, okay.
Hey! 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 Let everyone say move the right window. Hit! Hit! Clear. Are you ready?
Yep.
Stand by. Bar window.
Those are small.
Yeah. Check your data.
That was a hit. It moved.
Check your data. Check target.
Okay, I see. It'd be nice if I started with a full mag.
Did you have 30 loaded?
No, I started on an empty mag on accident.
I see clear. Understand the course fire?
Yep.
Orange target.
Yep. Left to right.
Yep.
One hit each.
Left to right and then you're close.
Yep. All right.
Stand by. Hit! 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 Hello, so clear.
Wasn't too bad.
What?
That wasn't too bad.
Nope. Part time's on here. Good. Are you ready?
Yep.
Stand by.
Watch me do it again. Let's see, second to last.
Run!
Ah!
Catch! Run!
Ah, come on. I was going so good.
Yes, you've done the best of anybody that I've seen so far. Hey, ready. Are you ready?
Yep.
Stand by. Jimmy, clear. Clear. Time was 5.7.
All right, so that's the match. Overall, I think I did fairly well. After all, I did end up taking first place at this match, which I was pretty happy with. And now to talk about the match itself. So, as I said at the beginning, this is the Camputee DMR match. This is the second match of this type that I've done. I'll throw up Cam's channel here. Cam's a really cool guy. He directs some matches that I compete at, so I kind of knew what to expect going into this match. But if you're looking at this match and wondering what it's about, basically the way he does this DMR match is you as the competitor are basically allowed to know nothing about the match going into it. The only information you're given about the match is that you'll be shooting rifle targets from 0 to 600 meters. You'll know going into the match, that between 300 yards and 600 meters, all the targets will be full-sized IPSCs, and then between 300 meters and 0, it could be anywhere from a full-size to a 1/2 IPSC. So that's it. That's the only information you're given about the match. When you actually show up to the match, you're not allowed to see the targets. You don't really get a good idea of exactly what the stages are. You're not allowed to know target distances or even how many targets are on that stage. So no laser rangefinders, no weapon-mounted laser rangefinders, nothing like that. If you want to know the distance to a target, you gotta mill it with your reticle. At this particular match, that particular aspect didn't matter a whole lot. So the way I think about it, there's essentially two categories of targets. There's targets that are far enough where elevation matters, and then there's targets that are close enough where your elevation doesn't matter. So in my head, that's essentially 300 yards and closer. The elevation is essentially a non-issue. You just point and shoot. And then any target past 300 yards, that's a target where the bullet has dropped enough to where it's possible for you to miss by the bullet going under the target. So theoretically, anything past 300 yards, you would want to mill the target size, figure out the distance, and then, shoot based on that. Now, in practice, that's not the way this match works. In practice, at least for this match, it takes too long to mill the target and figure out your distance that way. It's much more time efficient to just go ahead, take a guess, say, you know what, that target looks about 500 yards. Use your 500 yard hold, take a shot, watch for splash, and then correct based on splash. Hopefully in future matches, Cameron does something for a stage that forces you to mill a target. Might be interesting to do something along the lines of requiring a certain or limiting the number of rounds a shooter has, so that way they can't just waste shots trying to guesstimate a range. I don't know, that's up for him to decide, but I think it'd be interesting. This actually ended up being a fairly close match. So the way this match was scored, I'm not 100% sure exactly how Cam scores it, but I believe what he does is he's essentially only counting your hits. The time it takes for you to shoot the stage doesn't really matter, as long as you're underneath the par time. So your points per stage are essentially just the number of targets you hit. So if there's 10 targets on a stage and you hit all 10, you get 10 points for that stage. The exception to that was the last stage. That stage, your time did matter, and it mattered as a tiebreaker. So what ended up happening at this match actually was me and the guy who ended up taking second place. We both shot the same number of targets throughout the day. We both had a score of 53. However, On the last stage, the one with the paper targets, I had the faster time going through the paper targets, so I ended up taking first. I believe there was also a little bit of secret sauce going on with that last stage. I think I know what it is, but I don't want to spill the beans because if Cameron hasn't told us what the rules are, he doesn't want those rules spread. So I'll keep that under wraps for now. Overall, I was pretty happy with the match. I was a little bit disappointed with throwing shots on the last stage. I almost made it through that target array clean, and then ended up timing out on the last target, which was a little unfortunate. But that's always how it goes, it seems. I think that's it. I don't really have a whole lot to say about this match. It was a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to the next one. Next video up on the channel should be the Proving Grounds finale. That was a fun match, so I'm looking forward to getting that video out. In the meantime, if you have any questions or comments, leave them below, and then I'll see you on the next video.